I'm now joined by the amazing Zoe de Toledo, Cox of the British Silver Medal 8, and probably more importantly, a doctor who's studying for her exams. I know you had an exam or a viva yesterday, Zoe?
I had an exam yesterday and it was awful.
Oh, good. Well, this race won't be awful.
I'm very excited to be here by comparison.
This is a heat of the Temple Challenge Cup. It is for student open eights, and we have University of Bristol at the top of your picture there. Very distinctive outfit, and they are going up against Sheffield University. And I must say, Zoe, I've never commentated on a Sheffield University crew before, so this is a real treat. Yeah,
Sheffield University, interesting setup there. They're entirely self-coached. It's actually two of the athletes in this boat that coach the crew, and they are also really self-funded. They actually did a big cycle this year from Sheffield all the way here to Henley to fundraise for a boat and to get their crew here. So them being here is a pretty big deal, just being here and getting through qualifiers. I think this is the first crew they've qualified in, I think, 20 or 30 years.
I'll tell you what, if a few of the crews here take a look at Sheffield University, they'll probably say maybe we could coach ourselves as well, because they look sweet, don't they? Nice, easy out the back turn. And Isaac Murray, who's the men's captain, you can just see him there, his blade right up in the bows. He taught three of this very crew to row from novices. So there's a huge amount invested in Sheffield University. We will talk about Bristol, I promise you, but for the moment, it is Sheffield University the cameras are focusing on. But here we have Bristol University, and you know, University of Bristol have really come of age, I think, of late with their rowing programme, Zoe.
Yeah, I mean, I think their performance in the Temple last year, perhaps for them, was a little disappointing. They were knocked out on their second day of racing. And I think last year they expected to go a bit further through the competition. But they do still style themselves as, you know, one of the premier university rowing programs in the UK. So it's interesting to see how they perform today. You know, this maybe isn't the toughest competition for them, but how they go through the week and whether or not they can live up to that reputation.
Yeah, totally. And you can see that, I mean, I'm looking at the front end, which is quite close to the water when they come out, sort of at the extremity over the rigger at the catch. There's nothing dramatic going on in that stroke. It looks quite smooth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you can see that the way, I mean, again, it's easy when you're leading to look relaxed, but that's one thing we always really look for in rowing. Or maybe you look for the absence of stress or tension, you know, in their faces, in their shoulders, in their arms. That's what you want to see in good rowing. You want it to look fluid and loose, which is exactly what we're seeing here from the Bristol crew.
So the water just being ruffled by a tailwind, which is blowing straight into our commentary box here. Crews in this race are, I guess, just coming to the halfway point of the course. That's kind of the dead bit of the course, isn't it, Zoe, where you're away from the bank. Well, I don't think he's doing much commentary this year, but Greg Searle calls it the Badlands.
I think that's true. You come away from the start where, yes, there are fewer people, but you are really close to the bank, so you can get a lot more of that atmosphere when you're out there on the water. And that section, like you say, the course moves away from the bank. You're a bit more separated, but I think ultimately by the time you get through to the weekend, to Saturday to Sunday, it still feels like there are spectators pretty much sitting on your lap, because it's so noisy and you can really feel that energy. It drives you the whole way down.
So this Sheffield University crew that we're following now, they had to come through the qualifiers, and it was their first time qualifying since 1998. So a massive deal for the Yorkshire-based university. There's our lovely little drone that gives us such great shots. No doubt we'll get a little shot from the drone soon. There it is, flying with the Sheffield University crew. You really do get a sense of the speed there, which I guess will be about 5.5, 6 meters a second for these guys.
Yeah, you see it with the way they travel over the water, don't you, with that shot from above. But I think these guys from Sheffield should be really proud of this achievement, getting here and getting through qualifiers on this really sort of self-funded, self-coached program, you know, coming all the way from the Dam Flask Reservoir in the Peak District to this. It's a bit of a change of scenery, I imagine. But moving over now to Bristol, based on the River Avon. They both have their own varsity races, actually. So Sheffield have a race against Sheffield Hallam, which is the other university. So they're used to this one-on-one type competition, which is quite important, really, when you get into Henley.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Let's give a bit of love to Bristol Lackland Uckley, the 20-year-old stroke, as is Adam de Rosario in the 7th seat. There's 3 20-year-olds in the stern of that boat, because Toby Pridmore in the 6th seat, who started rowing at Falcon Rowing Club in Oxford back in 2018. And you can see how well drilled they are. Jake Blair, I don't know Jake as a coach, but I think, you know, if you take a university crew to Championship 8s at the British University Championship, that is a great thing to have on your coaching palmares. And this crew will go into another day of this competition. They come down to the finish line looking good, looking smooth. He's a really tall lad, Toby Pridmore. I wish I had his height. I have, funny enough, 2 meters and 6 and a 212-centimeter wingspan. That's kind of around about 6'7", I think, or 6'7½". University of Bristol crossed the finish line ahead of their opponents from Sheffield University. Love watching both crews in that heat of the Temple Challenge Cup. Confirmation that University of Bristol did beat Sheffield University.